Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo Sports Center. I'm Don. Over next to me is Cal. Say hi, Cal.
What is going on, guys? Whew.
Cal's feeling a little shy today. You know why? Because we're doing a new thing, a new podcast. Well, it's not new. Buffalo Talk Center is on the channel, but we haven't done anything with it. It's kind of a dormant little vestige that we both noticed a few days ago, and we're deciding to use it. So, yeah, I guess this is really the first episode of us doing a regular old podcast. Cal, are you excited for this, or is it just me?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. Again, welcome to the channel. If you guys are new, this podcast will be on YouTube. It'll also be on Spotify. We'll make the Spotify account link in the description. If you guys are here on YouTube, it's going to be an every Sunday thing that we're going to record. It'll be out during the week. Again, it'll be more precise when Buffalo sports teams are actually playing. But right now, we're just kind of easing into it.
Yeah. And I know it's 2025 and it's not a very novel idea to start a podcast, but due to our schedules and it's the amount of stuff that's happening, especially I think it's going to be great for the summer because it's not a lot of daily content that's happening. It's nice to close out every week, sum up everything that's happened, talk a bit more about it in more detail than we really could in a shorter form video. So, we're not necessarily the first people to do this. We're certainly not going to be the last, but we're going to dabble a little bit in the dark arts of podcasting. And yeah, as Cal said before, this is going to be on YouTube. I think we're going to do it on Spotify, right? Yeah, put it on the Spotify
Seems
too.
like it, yeah.
Yep, they'll pay us a lot of money because they treat
Oh,
all
yeah.
of their artists very fairly over at Spotify. So yes, love that. Um, but yeah, Cal, what do you want to dive into? What do you want to talk about on this fine Sunday?
I think let's start with an easy one to talk about. Again, a lot of these people watching for the first episode are Buffalo sports fans. Let's dive right into the Sabres a little bit. Again, big week for them, making some front office changes. Some players, about a quarter of them on the team, have expressed frustration, apparently, according to some NHL insiders. But let's start with JJ Peterka, right? Tell us what you're hearing about the JJ Peterka situation. A guy who has a ton of talent, a pending RFA. Do we think he sticks around?
No, no, I'm going to be right up front with it. No. JJ Peterka has been a little unhappy. I think unhappy is kind of an understatement at this point, but JJ Peterka has not been happy with the way the organization has been going, much like the rest of the fan base. After that near playoff run that the Sabres had a few years ago, he is frustrated about the lack of progress in this team, no support from management, the constant turmoil as well. He's gone through two separate head coaches now, Don Granato and Lindy Ruff, and I think for everyone on the team, last year was just really exhausting, tiring, grueling, whatever adjective you want to put in there. It was a very long season, even though it was only 82 games in just the regular season. It took a lot on every single member of this organization just because of the amount of expectations there were for this team going into it versus how things actually turned out. And I think given the amount of turmoil that we expect from this organization here this offseason. Peterka doesn't really see a path forward. Now, everything can change. He may stay here in Buffalo. He may sign a new long term or even a short term deal that can placate him for a few more years, get him over to his prime 27, 28, where he then will either resign, double down here in Buffalo, or go out into free agency. But it seems to me, and it seems to a lot of insiders, that Peterka really seems gone. And if he isn't gone now, a team is going to try to offer sheet him this offseason. And, well, all these factors may force Kevin Adams' hand, Cal.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing, right? Because Peterka is one of those guys with elite talent and a very high ceiling. And we've seen his ups and downs on the Sabres. Again, he seems a little bit not as comfortable with the puck as I would have liked, right? I think if he gains confidence, he could be one of the top players in this league. His shot is elite. His playmaking skills are elite. He's a pretty fast player. The issue is his confidence with the puck hasn't gotten there yet, and that will come. So if I'm the Sabres, I'm doing whatever I can to keep him in Buffalo. And again, they do have the final say. He is an RFA. The only thing, like you said, an offer sheet that could take him away, which you rarely see in the NHL. So again, I'll stand on the opposite side of the line, but just barely. I think he does stay, but I think it is going to be tough to keep him here. Let's switch subjects a little bit from the Sabres. Let's get into something a little non-Buffalo sports. Again, this podcast is going to be about everything. So this is kind of our first episode, just kind of spreading the line a little bit. Don, I'm going to let you pick the next topic. Anything else you want to talk about here?
Well, Morgan Wallen's got a new album out.
Sure
I
does.
haven't heard it yet. Cal, have you listened to it? Is it good?
I've given it a listen, and yeah, I mean, we got to talk about this, right? Because music, I know me and you are both passionate about music, and music right now, Morgan Wallen dominating the charts in almost every single category. I think 37 songs on the new album, 36 of them in the top 100. That's a lot of music.
Jesus.
That's a lot of songs to crack the top 100. I gave it a listen, and again, I'm a pretty big Morgan Wallen fan, and I think the theme of the album was very dominant on each and every one of the songs. It seemed very repetitive in a sense, right? It was the same song over and over and over again, a pop country, heartbreak kind of song where he's, kind of sad about a breakup, but also like, trying to say that he got better in a sense as well. Alcohol is a big reference in it as any country song. So I gotta say it's a solid album, but nothing to listen over and over to. A few songs I added to the playlist, but nothing too special. But I gotta ask you, as someone who's not the biggest country music fan, me being a little bit more of a country music fan, country music is actually, has really stepped up the last couple of years, and it's been a very much part of the charts. As someone who's not a big country fan, have you picked up any country songs that you've added to your playlist over the last couple of years? Are there any artists that you've taken a liking to, or are you still completely against it?
All right, no. So I don't know if all the viewers know, but for graduate school, I've moved down to Louisville, Kentucky,
Mm.
Louisville, for all non-native Louisvillians. Um, and yes, I've been forced to kicking and screaming to pick up some country. And all
Mm.
right, I got some country songs here in my library. Okay,
This is
we
big,
got
guys. This is big.
we got Luke Combs. Okay, oh, we got some Luke Combs. Is Noah Khan technically country? What is he? He's like a
He's like a folk country. I mean, I
okay.
personally I wouldn't put him as a country artist, but I think it's close enough.
Yeah, Luke Combs, some Blake Shelton here and there.
All right, all right.
Um, there's one other guy. I can't remember his name, but a bunch of his songs. My one buddy, he plays a bunch of his songs. Dwight Yoakam. Dwight Yoakam. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Apparently he's cool, and I've listened to a few songs. He's all right. I still wouldn't put myself in as a country music fan, but given the fact that I'm going to be going to Nashville more often now, I feel like I should. But
Yeah,
I
gotta get
I,
the tolerance up a little bit at least, right?
no
Because you're gonna be hearing
tolerance.
a lot of that in Nashville for sure. And I mean, am I wrong for saying this? I mean, I used to be a big hip hop rap fan and all that, but man, the amount of good hip hop slash rap that has come out in the last I don't know 2 years has just been terrible in my opinion, at least. Like during COVID, it seemed every week there was banger album, banger song, at least every week. I used to stay up till midnight on Thursdays. The last couple of years it's been a slug, and that's kind of gotten me more into country too, because I feel like the country music has been more consistent, and some of my favorite hip hop, rap, even pop artists have not been dropping as good of stuff. Have you seen that trend as well, or is there anyone that's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
been on your playlist continuously the last couple of years?
So I've also never been a big rap guy. Kale knows this
Mm,
for me
yeah.
personally, going back a few years. My brother, my twin brother,
Mhm,
he's definitely more of the rap guy. But I think just the whole fact that we don't have Juice World anymore, no X, Travis
mm,
Scott he was okay album, but
mm.
there's no like top dog anymore in the rap game. It used to be Jay-Z, Kanye West, and well, Kanye's still around, but
Yeah,
uh,
we'll skip on that one for this one. Yeah, I don't
we
know what's
don't
going
need
on
to
with that.
talk about pro. Um,
Uh,
But again, there's no like top guy. I mean, someone in the chat can tell me this. What? Oh, I mean Kendrick. I love Kendrick. Kendrick's great. He's fantastic. Drake sucks, by the way. Drake trash. Um, but other than
I'm not going to
Kendrick, I
second
mean,
that opinion.
all right.
uh,
Not to get too far off track from the question, but old Drake was still pretty mid, guys. All right. Flame me in the comment section all you want. Old Drake was still mid. He only had a few bangers here and there, but he never has made a consistent album.
We can agree that New Drake is pretty bad. We'll leave it at that. New Drake is pretty bad. As far as Kendrick goes, I was never the biggest Kendrick guy. That now I do have a few songs that I do like. I've grown to appreciate Kendrick. Still didn't think the halftime show was anything spectacular. But also, if you look at the halftime shows in the last 10 years, I think it fits the trend, right? Like
Well, the
they
2020,
I
the
don't
the
know.
one in LA was pretty good
That is true. Yeah,
with
they
Dr.
that
Dre
one
and
was
all
a
of them.
polarizing one too. They got to find one that like is there a way? I mean, this is a little off topic too. Is there a way to have a halftime show where everybody's happy nowadays? I really
No,
don't think there is.
I don't think so because either you have. Well, actually, what was the reaction to the Shakira one? Because I like the Shakira one. Her
That's
and J
true.
Lo,
That's true.
that was a good one. I don't really, I can't think of any people really getting upset with that one. But I don't know. It's either nowadays you either have someone like Kendrick Lamar or Maroon 5. I don't I don't
Yeah.
see an in between artist right now. I mean, I think Coldplay used to be that kind of in between artist that
Mhm.
everyone could get behind. But I mean, what? Imagine Dragons and no.
Yeah,
No.
no, there's not really. I mean, it seems like everything in this world, music is divided right down the middle too, and it's like all of a sudden you're picking sides, whatever music you like, and we definitely had to bring that up. Let's go back to sports now for a little bit. We'll finish up our hockey talk, right? Let's
Right.
get done with hockey in the early portion of this podcast. The Stanley Cup Finals, a rematch of last year, Edmonton versus Florida. Who do you got winning this year?
All right, I got Edmonton. They couldn't do it last year. They touched the trophy this year. I think they got it. This reminds me a lot of Detroit and Pittsburgh way back when in 2008, 2009. I think they'll split. It's just both teams have played so much hockey over the last 3 years. And I gotta say, I'm more impressed with Edmonton's cup run here than Florida. Not to take away anything from Florida, but Toronto pushed them to their limit. I think they did really well against Tampa. That team, that was a team that everybody thought would be kind of a dark horse making it to the finals. Nope. Florida swept them or pushed them aside in five. Toronto pushed them to the brink. Carolina are basically the Buffalo Bills now of the
Yeah,
NHL. It's so
it's
frustrating
to
for
be
them.
expected. Yeah.
Right. But nonetheless, I still think Edmonton has done more. Vegas has won a cup. Dallas has always been one of the best teams in the West. How many people put Dallas as their top cup contender? Everybody. Everybody. But Edmonton, with their doubts about their depth, goaltending questions, they've looked rock solid and then some. And just for all that, I think the surprise factor, that Calvin Pickard can come in and just win a bunch of games, and even Stuart Skinner can do the same. That gives me reason to believe that Edmonton, they'll they've been really impressive, more impressive than Florida thus far, and they'll continue to be and eventually win the cup finally for McDavid.
Yeah, I mean this is an absolute win-win for me again this year. You look at Edmonton. If Edmonton wins, my McDavid rookie card skyrockets in value. Jeff Skinner gets to hold the Stanley Cup, right? The only downfall is a Canadian team wins. I know me and you are both American. It's a funny joke. No, nevertheless, I mean I got nothing against Canada. It's a funny joke. Canada can't win a cup. If Florida
hmm
wins, at least that continues. If Florida also wins, Sam Reinhart gets another cup. Um, Florida is one of those teams that we have a rivalry with, kind of. Again, Matthew Kachuk is, annoying to play against for sure. Sam
Right.
Bennett's been a little bit dirty in the playoffs, but they beat the Leafs, so you got to give them a little bit credit there. That helps us out a little bit too. So I'm actually going to pick Florida. I'm going to go on the opposite end of it. I think Florida just has the experience. They know how to get it done. Bobrovsky has looked a little bit shaky in the playoffs, I will admit. But I think Florida gets it done. I think they take it the distance, 7 games. And I think we're going to have a very fun series that not a whole lot of people watch. And speaking of series that not a whole lot of people watch, let's switch sports to the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers are in
Oh
the NBA
man.
Finals. And I, for one, will not be watching a second of it because, let's be
Nope.
honest, who cares?
Yeah, it's Indiana. They're great. Don't get me wrong. As a Knicks
Mm,
fan, I'm still a little torn about what
yeah.
happened the other night on, well, Saturday night. It was the night before
Hmm.
this one, but you guys won't be seeing this for a few more days. But yeah, I'm still a little thorny about that, not too happy. So it's like when the Bills got eliminated and I didn't want to watch any football, didn't
Yeah.
want to talk about it, hear it. I still that's the same kind of feeling I have with basketball
Hmm.
and the Knicks. Um, I think OKC is probably going to win it.
Yeah.
Everyone's been counting out down and out Indiana this entire playoff run they've had. Talk about a playoff run. They beating the Cavs, beating the Knicks. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh,
Tyrese
yeah.
Halliburton is hate him.
He's quite the player, though. I mean, again, it
He's
stings
yeah,
him beating the Knicks, but he is. I mean, Halliburton versus SGA. That's going to be a heck of a series. It's just
free throw
again, it's
merchant.
yeah, it's two boring teams. I hate to say it. I love Isaiah Hartenstein. I hope the Thunder win that one. Just solely based on that. Obviously he was a good factor with the Knicks the last couple seasons. But it's one of those series where we look at this and it's an Indiana team that has a lot of, dare I say, no names that are just big on hustle, big on defense, and they have a high shooting percentage from the 3-point line, and they're able to get it done. And then you look across to the Thunder, and other than SGA, again, a whole lot of no names, a whole lot of guys that don't get the national attention of the media. And I think it's going to be a struggle for ESPN to talk about this series the next week or two. I know the NBA on TNT is officially done and the NBA is shifting over to NBC. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Do you think the NBA will get a little bit more attention being on NBC than it was TNT? Again, TNT doesn't have a national television station where NBC could put games on USA, games on NBC, where TNT was only True TV, TBS, TNT. Again, the pregame shows were great with Shaq and Chuck and Ernie and all that whole shebang. But you got to think that the NBA is doing itself a favor moving to NBC in the long run.
Yeah, I totally think so. I think we've seen the opposite happen, right? With the NHL when they moved
Mm-hmm.
away from NBC and went to ESPN/TNT, and we've seen their playoff figures drop off a cliff. They're down
Oh
what,
yeah.
28% these playoffs? I mean, the numbers are pretty bad. So I think the opposite will happen. I'd love to get Mike Tirico on another NBA call. NBA playoffs, Mike Tirico, and we'll still have Mike Breen, of course, on ESPN. That is an elite broadcasting duo right there. I mean, Kevin Harlan's still great. Love Kevin
Yeah.
Harlan. He's
And a little
fantastic.
bit salty. Him paired up with Reggie Miller really stabbed the wound for me. But yeah, I mean, he's a great commentator. Again, Kevin Harlan, he's the perfect radio guy, right? He over
Right.
explains everything to the maximum extent because he's used to doing radio. But when Kevin Harlan's on TV doing a football game, it's almost painful to watch because he's projecting towards radio. You bring up Mike Tirico, just Hall of Famer, right? I mean, that guy
Yeah,
just
he's
one of my
fantastic.
favorites for sure. Yeah, he can do any sport. He could broadcast a cartoon and it would be entertaining. And he's not one of the funniest guys or anything. He's not one of the nittiest guys, but he's like perfect, professionalism and comedic value entwined in one. And the fact they got him over on NBC, and sometimes he works with the great Chris Collinsworth. That's how he's quite the
Should we
duo.
we gotta
At least he offsets them.
we gotta
Uh,
do like the chair slide in app
yeah,
before each and every one of these podcasts, right? When I hit record, just slide in, just
just
like
slide
Chris.
in. Yeah,
Just
I
like
do have a
Chris.
video coming. I haven't recorded it yet, but it's going to be impersonations of NFL announcers, and I've been thinking
Oh,
about it for a while. I've planned it out. I just haven't recorded it yet. It'll be out before this NFL season, and Collinsworth will definitely have a big feature in that one. Let's shift over. I think so. Let's make our final predictions. Though. Are we both going
okay.
Thunder pretty easily in this?
Yeah, Thunder and six. Thunder and
Okay.
six.
Yeah, I agree. I think Thunder and six. I see a lot of people doing Thunder and four, Thunder and five. It doesn't
No,
work
it's the
that way. It's the NBA
finals.
Finals. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to be. The refs, they're going to try to extend that series as long as possible, no matter which way it goes. Let's talk
Right.
baseball.
Okay.
I know, I'm
Oh
a big
boy.
Mets fan. You are a Mets fan, right? But
In the
not a
playoffs, I
huge
am.
baseball guy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the Mets, after today, they've just defeated the Rockies, handing the Rockies their 50th loss. That is the quickest a team has got to 50 losses since the 1800s. Or like I think it was like 1840 something. Kansas City, some team like that. 9-50, 9 and
That's
50 today
insane.
at
Oh
the
my
time of
God.
recording, June 1st. The team is 9-50. Again, this is coming after a year where the Chicago White Sox had a
What?
career low. Yeah, almost slipped up there. But yeah, it is
Oh
a
man.
brutal season for the Rockies. We go to the standings here though. Before I do that, let's talk about yesterday. 18
Okay.
to 2, Dodgers over the Yankees. What's your opinion on that? I mean, the Yankees are still looking good this year, but 18 to 2.
Yeah, get wrecked, New York. That's so sad. Well, actually, no. You know how they'll make themselves feel better? Yankees fans will just try to taunt Soto again. And they'll say,
Yeah.
oh, how, he's a toxic little loser who just sold out for money and didn't want to stay to win. Okay, yeah. That's a lot of winning you guys are doing over there. 18 to 2. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
winning.
I don't get why they just Yankees fans, they say they're not obsessed with Soto, yet it's just constant online. Oh, Soto this, Soto that. Well, Soto hit a home run today, and now the Mets have a better record. I'd like to point this out because this is pretty rare. Usually, when a team goes up big, the losing team tries to conserve pitching, and they put a position player on the mound. Right? Not this
Hmm.
go around. The Dodgers put Kike Hernandez on the mound for the ninth inning to conserve pitching. That's how confident they were, and they were up. And he not only pitched he pitched an inning here, gave up one hit, no earned runs. So you
Wow.
love to see that. Again, sometimes it is harder to hit a position player because they're not used to seeing the ball come in that slow with different spin rates and all that. It's a different game once you get to the MLB, but that's pretty rare to see. So that's tough for the Yankees. But let's go to the standings real quick.
Okay.
I'll just do a quick standings check for the MLB. Again, some local
Where's the
teams.
Chicago White Sox? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Caleb.
Yeah,
Didn't
but
didn't hear you
yeah,
talking there.
the South Side boys are fifth in the Central, 18-41, a little bit better than the Rockies, but not too much better. The Orioles are having a rough year as well, but Yankees best team in the East in the AL, and the Detroit Tigers best team in the league, 38-21. Move over to the national side of things. The Cubs still dominating the Central. The Dodgers still atop the West, but the Padres and Giants are right behind them. Phillies are now a game behind the Mets in the East. That'll probably change because the Mets have to play the Dodgers 4-game
Yeah.
skid in LA starting tomorrow. At the time of this recording, I should say. And then I got to touch on the Pirates. The Pirates, one of those local teams. I know a lot of people around here like 22-37. Another tough year for the team that spends no money.
5-year perpetual rebuilds. Let's go. Let's go, Pittsburgh. So when
Yep.
are they going to trade Paul Skeens? Now or a year from now? Like what? It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We all know it's going to happen. It's the most predictable thing in the world. No way they pay. Paul Skeens is worth like 200 million. And that's the bare bones. That's lowest.
I have a hot take on Paul Skeens. I think the Pirates should trade him because the Pirates are so inept. You know what they're going to do. If they sign him, they're not going to get him any help, and he's going to rot his career away in Pittsburgh. If you trade him now, he is worth so much. You might be able to get enough cheap, younger players that can field a playoff team right off the bat to maybe propel your franchise a little bit where people might want to go to Pittsburgh for a discount. Whereas right now you have Paul Skeens, but if you just continue to put, the Michael A. Taylors around him, the absolute bums that he plays with. And then you go out and you say, oh, McCutchen and, Adam Frazier are going to solve our team, guys who were here, 10 years ago. It's not going to help. And then they continue to have terrible relief pitching around him. I mean, you look at Paul Skeens, and again, he continuously gives up 1 to 2 runs, and they just don't score for him. It reminds me of prime Jacob deGrom on the Mets. Every outing just lights it up and still can't get wins. And even when he does, the team still isn't in a playoff spot. It's truly disgusting. And again, that brings us to another subject, which I think we could talk about: taxes in sports,
Oh
salary
boy.
caps. That's a big thing. I know the video that we dropped today, we talked a little bit about it in the NHL. I'd love to get your opinion about it in the MLB, a league where there's no salary cap. Again, there's a tax, but these billionaire owners could care less. We see Steve Cohen with the Mets. He doesn't care about the owner's tax. It doesn't matter. So do you think they should limit or impose a salary cap in the MLB? Or do you think they should have maybe a floor so that teams like the Pirates, teams like the bottom feeders, that they chant, sell the team. I mean, you see it everywhere with the A's. I guess I can't call them Oakland, right? The Chicago White Sox, just these teams that just don't spend money nowadays. Even Toronto has been struggling a little bit. Do you think they should have a floor where these owners are forced to pay a certain amount, or they just have to sell the team?
I I would think a floor is more realistic than a salary
Yeah.
cap ceiling. It would just be so tough because so many of these teams have signed their guys out 10 years and at crazy yearly fees.
Mm.
So it seems more realistic. If they were to impose anything, it would be a cap floor. And I think that's totally necessary because you can't set that ceiling. It's already too late to set a ceiling. You have to set a floor because, there are certain teams in the MLB that just refuse to spend. The Marlins, the Pirates, the Rockies, the A's. I mean, if you want more competitiveness and you want a little bit refreshing of some teams to, recycle around and not just have, well, the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees and some of these bigger market teams to be the best, then you got to do something like that. Force some of these frugal owners who are just in it so that they can sell it in 10 years for 10 times worth what they bought it for, that forces them to actually put in an effort into these teams. And I think it actually that is a good vetting process because a lot of these rich billionaire owners, they'll buy a team, don't put any money into it, all right? And then they'll sell it, like I said, a bunch of years later for 10 times worth what they had acquired it for. If you impose a salary cap floor, you won't have some of these same characters interested in buying an MLB team, especially a small market team. You have uh, more faithful, more enthusiastic owners who actually like the sport, like the team, like the city that they're buying into. Uh, that I don't see any negatives with imposing a salary cap floor other than these owners claiming, "Oh, we can't afford that. We can't afford to do that. Our revenues are just not high enough." You are worth at least a few billion dollars. I'm sure you can handle it, pal.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, I mean, it's so sad to see. And, as Sabres fans, we know all too well about an owner that doesn't spend up to the salary cap ceiling. And it's just like if you're in a fandom of a baseball team that just doesn't spend like the Pirates, I mean, there's really no way out of it. I mean, you could compare it to a bunch of political situations that I won't, but you're trapping
Hmm.
yourself in a situation and you're not trying to help yourself, and there's really nowhere to go. So that is tough to see. Two topics just popped in my head. I'm gonna let you pick what we talk about
Okay.
here: Buffalo Bandits or the UFL. We could
Oh, we
go
gotta talk
either way
the
here.
Bandits. Whoa. Is that even a question? Yes, the Bandits. Oh my God.
We'll get to the UFL later on. We got to talk about how much of a crapshoot this league is. But yeah, Bandits. Lacrosse is blowing it up right now. I mean,
Oh
the
yeah.
ratings for the NLL championship were through the roof. Great ratings. The PLL right now on national TV on ABC is doing good numbers as well. I gotta say, for me, I have become a full lacrosse fan. Like all of a sudden, I'm watching Bandits games every week, and it's not just because they're winning, but it's because of Bandit Land. I think the passion that Buffalo has for it. I tune in for the crowd. I tune in for the atmosphere. The winning comes with it. This is 3 straight. Again, I've been watching the Bandits for more than 3 seasons. It's not like I've just jumped on or anything. But now that they're more easily able to watch, they are on the CW now. It has been a lot easier to watch. Also, ESPN Plus. How much have you watched NLL lacrosse in the last 3 years? Have you, started to watch more and more and more?
So I will watch most of the playoff games, at least for the
Mm,
Bandits. I've watched probably 15% of the regular season games. If there's
mm.
nothing else on, I'll throw it on. I'll throw a regular season NLL game on. But I agree with you. Like the Bandits are fun. Banditland is amazing. It's incredible that they have won 3 straight, and all of this wants me to do like a brief history, a video essay on the Bandits, just to, give them their roses. Like they have been fantastic. Their community outreach as well is great.
Mhm.
Not too long ago, I think it was a week or two ago, Dane Smith and Josh Byrne were at the EA hockey rink teaching kids how to play box lacrosse. I
Mhm.
mean, that's insane. That's two of the biggest names in lacrosse doing that sort of stuff. And that's why so many people, at least in Buffalo, have become lacrosse fans. It's because of these community outreach, the winning, of course, the fun games. I mean, I remember I went to a playoff game 2 years ago, and it was so much more fun than any Sabres game I think I've been
Oh
to.
yeah.
The atmosphere, the chanting, you know, It helps that they're winning and the Sabres, of course, are not. But like
Yeah.
it's so happy. It's so nice to see that Buffalo's got another sports team that they can be really passionate about, in addition to the Bills.
Yeah, and when I did the video with Paul Dawson, a defenseman on the Bandits too, I mean, he talked a little bit about how hard it is to three-peat nowadays in the NLL compared to, back in the day. They completely changed the playoff format, trying to kind of limit the amount of, repeat champions, trying to get, a little bit more diversity in the playoff sphere. And it hasn't worked for the Bandits because this team is just so stacked. And it's, again, you look at their goaltender, Matt Vince, and he had a three-peat with Rochester back in the day, and now a three-peat with the Bandits. I mean, hard to get more of a crazy career than that. Just absolutely incredible. We'll see if he comes back. But even then, I mean, Friday night, the Bandits had their, annual celebration championship parade, it seems like now downtown, and it's just packed. I mean, you would not believe how many people. And again, I talk about sports almost every day, and I, turn on this laptop and talk about sports and videos during the season almost every day. And the Bandits don't get brought up that much, but you look at the Bandits situation and you go to games and it's sold out. Like there are, I've always said, like they are some of the most hardcore fans, and it makes you think if the Sabres would just put a little bit more effort in, what could be. I mean, to have, because the NLL it's a growing league, but it's nowhere close to the NHL. And don't get, I mean, the NHL is nowhere close to the NFL or anything like that, but it's a huge step up from the NLL. Could you imagine
Yeah.
Buffalo with an NHL team that consistently makes the playoffs, is a consistent threat? We had it. I know before me and you were, consciously here. It was like that, but I cannot wait till the day it gets back to there. Another thing about lacrosse, I'll pose the question to you here. If Buffalo ended up getting an outdoor lacrosse team in the new Bills Stadium, do you think it would have the same fandom or not as well?
I don't think so. The problem
Hmm.
with outdoor lacrosse, it's a lot different than box lacrosse. Box lacrosse, it's fast, it's quick, a lot of hitting. Not saying that there's not as much or not any hitting in outdoor lacrosse. There is. But it's a much slower game. It's a bigger field, I believe, too. My
Yeah.
brother played field lacrosse,
Hmm.
and it just doesn't, it's not as aesthetically pleasing as box lacrosse. It's not as easy to watch because the ball is still really small and you're on this big grassy field. It's not like it's a football or a soccer ball or anything like that. So it's a different atmosphere. And I don't think it would work as well, especially putting it in the Bill Stadium. That would be way too big for something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I try to watch college lacrosse when it gets to like the championship and all that, and it's so hard to follow the ball. Who is the ball? And it is much easier indoor. It's still sometimes hard to follow the ball because it's so small, but definitely much easier indoor. I bring that up though because Buffalo is getting a soccer team, and I
Right.
know you're the soccer guy here. Buffalo, they were number one in the Premier League ratings on USA Network.
That's right.
I know you know more about that than me, but that's a big number for the United States. Buffalo, number one for Premier League viewership. Again, Premier League, one of the most astounding leagues in England. But fill me in on that, and then also, I got to know: do you think this new Buffalo team is going to have any success whatsoever with the fans?
The USL team, I hope they do. I think initially they will. I think there is a market for it here. There's definitely a market, and we don't have much time left here, less than 2 minutes to go. But
Okay.
I'll say this to close things out: there is a market here for soccer in Buffalo, and I don't know where they're gonna play though. Where is the stadium? I work downtown every
It's
day,
not
every
there.
weekday. They haven't even started, and they say that they're gonna get it open by next year, 1 year from now. There's no way. There's literally no way they're gonna make this happen. There's not been any construction crews, no plans that I've heard. I haven't read anything in the Buffalo Business Journal. It just seems like they're gonna get shut down and have to find a new space, and their launch would be delayed at least a year or two. I have no
Every time I
clue.
bring this up, people are like, "Wait, we're getting a soccer team?" Like it doesn't even seem real. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and hey, we're gonna do our part here on this channel to try to get the word out about the
Mhm.
USL Buffalo team. Because USL, it's a fun league. It's a great league. I hope it continues to grow. They're gonna add relegation and promotions to it as well, create tiered systems with that. It's still always gonna be a minor league team, but it's
Mhm.
still soccer, and I love soccer. But anyways, Cal, I think that's gonna do it here for us. Folks, I hope you all enjoyed this wide-ranging and long first episode here of this podcast. I was Don. This is Cal. Cal, any final words?
Nope. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Nope, Cal is done. He is toast. It's over. All right. See you,
Woo.
man.